Right, hello. Here we are, Tuesdays now. Welcome to the stream. I hope that everybody that is now and will join in later, it's doing fine. Hopefully, many of you are following from Saturdays, but yeah, from now on, at least, if nothing change, we will be doing our stream now on Tuesdays. So let's see what happens. All right, so we will take it from where we left it last time. So with this orc adventurer, traveler, I don't know. So to recap a little bit, what is the main idea with this character? So he's not, I mean, the main idea is that, yeah, he's some sort of adventurer. Not like a typical battle warrior, but just an orc that goes and seek adventure out in the world. Hey, David Luca. Hi. How are you doing? Happy to see you here. Yeah, I hope that this change doesn't affect many of you, and that at least the big majority still can make it to this new day for streaming. But how are you, man? I'm having a nice hot coffee, and I think I will get a little dark chocolate to have with the coffee at the same time. Some nice treats. David Luca, always a pleasure seeing such a badass artist at work. Me, I'm fine with a nice cup of white wine. Always good. Nice. Well, thanks a lot, man. I don't know about badass, but yeah, thanks anyway. And cheers, even though I'm having a coffee, but yeah. Okay, so an adventure, and we added the backpack last time, which I actually quite like. Now I think it would be nice if he had a helmet hanging there, right? Just in case things get very eerie in whatever situation he might get into. So he must carry a helmet. Hey, Richard. Hey, thanks for the like. But we need to put this this helmet in a nice place. I think now one of the challenges is gonna be to place whatever gadgets and stuff he has, to place them in such a way that kind of looks nice but also makes sense. And that is also readable as well, so that will be a nice addition. Richard, good evening to everyone. Not borracho this time. All right. Hello, man. How are you doing? Good that you are keeping your manners for a weekday. Just joking. We are keeping it civil. Today I might need to be on daddy duties earlier than on previous streams because my son has been having a rough day today, so my wife is completely exhausted. So it's gonna be me on the lookout. So that means, like always, that I might need just to interrupt the stream. Well, not the stream, but I will have to get up and check on him in the meanwhile. So yeah, hopefully not, but it might happen. So yeah, let's see. Schmovit, been lurking during this year. Ah, you lurker. Another one that comes to the light. Learning a lot. Appreciate your time you give to us. Man, it's a pleasure. And thanks for saying hello. Much appreciated that as well. So thanks for watching. Oh, Avira, yeah. Also, by the way, today my my course finished. Well, this term, the fall's term, finished today. So, which is always sad, and it goes so it feels so fast. It just, I mean, it's 8 weeks long, but time flies so fast. So yeah, the next term will start in January for the winter term. Yeah, it's always such a pleasure. I to move it. Thanks for the follow. Thanks, thanks a lot. Much appreciated, and welcome to the stream. So yeah, like I was saying with the with the course, that yeah, it's they have such a good time with all the students, and it's always sad to say goodbye. For those of you that might not know, I'm talking about a course that I have at CG Master Academy. I'm the teacher there, so I created this course there that is called Narrative Illustration and Characters, and and this course, it's about showing you how to use all the fundamentals of art with a narrative intent to be able to communicate things clearly, and but not only clearly, but just to elevate the art to a more compelling level. So it's a subject that I'm really, really, really passionate about, and I very strongly believe in. So it's kind of to avoid the syndrome of just doing things pretty or cool just for the sake of it, but just to help you out, just to actually say something with your piece. So yeah, to make it, to push it to another level, right? And yeah, it is a 8 weeks long course with pre-recorded lectures, and then each week we have, of course, there is assignments each week, so there is a feedback session and then a Q&A live. It's a lot of fun. I really, really, really enjoyed. Midro Nuruodo. Oh my goodness, you have a complicated name. How long do you spend on an average character? Oof, it depends a lot. It depends. If I know what I'm doing in terms of the idea behind it, it's clear in my mind, so I don't need to spend much exploring different ideas. So sometimes it can be very straightforward, and it's just gonna take me the time to paint it, and it's with no trials and error, just very much straightforward. And that can be maybe, I don't know, from 1 to 2 days, on the fast side, but then on the long side it can take a very long time if there's a very long exploration phase, if there is feedback involved, and so it's not just for me but for a client, or then that means that it can take a very long time because of different options and exploratory sketches. So it depends immensely. The if I'm talking about characters that I'm doing just for my own, the difference, the factor that makes a difference is if I have a clear idea of what I want or not. The problem I have with the placement of this backpack is like it's so much behind at the moment that it's difficult to. I don't want to have like a mountain behind. So, and since we decided to add this kind of cover, it gives me not so many options to add stuff that stick outside. And if they hang, they will hang. I mean, since he's so thick, so so wide, I don't have too much range to show. Meblerd, what's up? Hey, how are you? Welcome back. Glad that you could make it till today. Mithro Nudwodo, link to your course. Yeah, sure. Give me a second. Let's see. Here. There you go. That's the link. But since I only can write on the Twitch stream, not on YouTube for some reason, if the only way, I mean, you can just Google yourself narrative illustration and characters CGMA, or go to my Instagram, and there is a link on my bio directly. Eva, nice. I really like to see how pure and brilliant your style and colors. Hey, Eva, how are you doing? Well, here, Eva was on my course 2 or 3 terms ago, I believe. So you can always ask her about her experience there. Nice to see you here, Eva. How are you? How do I warm up? Well, I've been working the whole day, so I didn't have any need to warm up. I've been painting the whole day already. So, but if not, normally if it's just a warming up, I just do some sort of sketch. Sometimes with something in mind, sometimes just mindlessly, and see what happens. If it's just for the sake of warming up. Maybird, do you charge by the hour / per time you work on a concept? Yes. Yes, I charge by the time. Yes. Or concept art. For illustration, it is the common practice is to charge by a set price for a piece. But for concept art is normally by the time. And that is to take into account, since in concept art it might be many iterations and a lot of feedback and back and forth. So like that is just to to cover that eventuality that that even though maybe it was planned that, I don't know, the work was going to take 1 or 2 weeks, it might take a month because of that. Because the process sometimes is that way. You cannot avoid it. It's not about that you cannot do the job. It's just that the job is actually maybe exploring and finding the right thing, and that takes time. Sometimes, I mean, just generalizing. It can be anything, but yeah. So you don't end up with a client that asking you to do a lot of changes and give you a lot of feedback, and just you happen to be working more time that you are supposed to be paid, right? So like this, if you charge by the time, by the hour, or by the day, it depends, but yeah, by the time, then at least you cover your back. So it means that, okay, if you want more feedback or so much extra work, then that's on you. And yeah, so yeah, I hope it makes sense. Means virtual hug. Well, thank you. I feel it. I feel it. Hey Bird, I'm good. It's cool that I caught your stream again. Nice. Well, indeed. Yeah, like I was saying, yeah, I will be from now on, unless something change. I will be streaming on Tuesdays instead of Saturdays. So no more Saturday streams. I'm trying to give him some kind of fancy helmet, not like the typical orcish helmet. even though we can orchify it a little bit as well. I want to add like this idea that he might have taken this from a raid on a dungeon or something like that. So he might be some kind of scavenger. Midro Nuruodo, how do you use brushes? Man, you are on a you are like a machine gun of questions. Yeah, nothing wrong, right? Just kidding. But well, what do you mean? How do I use brushes? Don't you see? I just paint with them. I mean, just tell me more specifically what you mean with that question, and I can give you a more a better answer. Juan Toledano, hello, hey man, how are you doing? Very glad to see you here. Glad you could make it. How are you, man? The light is coming from. I was a little bit confused there. So the light should come more from here. Beep, 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 beep. The Crusader, greetings, Miel. Hope you are doing good today. Hey, man. Thank you. Very good. Sorry, I'm doing very good. How about you? I'm a little bit tired, like normally these days. Having a full-time job and having to take care of a baby. So and giving classes as well and taking care of a dog and yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I'm preparing for all the tutorials and preparing for my project. Lane, hello, nice backpack. Thank you, thank you. But you know, the backpack wasn't my idea. I can't remember who suggested it last stream. But before he had no backpack, and somebody mentioned that, well, if he's traveling around, if some kind of adventure, would it make sense to have a backpack? And even though I had thought about it, but I kind of discarded it. But once one of you mentioned it, I rethought about it, and yeah, I thought it was pretty neat. So yeah, there you go. I agree. I like it, but it wasn't my idea. Means I love your work. Thank you, man. Much appreciated. What can I say? Makes me happy to hear. Thank you. David Luca, for what I can see, you start with a basic shape, establish the lighting, and only after that you might modify it to fit the purpose. Do you think in this term also with anatomy or clothing, right? All right. So no, I also think about it about the pose and anatomy. So the thing is that in this case, I had the idea already from the very beginning, right? So I wanted to have a kind of neutral pose, not too crazy, but also that implied that he's on the move, that he's engaging on something. So I didn't want him to be static. So it doesn't give too much, but it just gives us a little bit of context, and that can be related to his mission, you could say, or his background or context. So yeah, I start that way in a basic shape and establishing the lighting, but also at that point I'm already thinking about the purpose of the character. It's just that I tackle several aspects of the process in different moments, or not everything at the very same time. And the reason for that, about the pose and establishing the basics of the lighting and pose, is because that's going to be the very foundation, right? So it doesn't matter how fancy design I'm trying to do if the pose and anatomy and lighting is not working. So I will be working and reworking and going back and forth with that until I know it's solid. So of course, sometimes I fail and I move on forward, and then I realize that I don't like it or that I need to redo. But of course, I mean, you can never account for everything, right? So I'm actually now a good example of that. I'm working on a character for my own project, and I spend quite a lot of time on a basic pose, and I thought I was happy with it and move forward with costume design and all these type of things. And then I realized that actually, you know what, I don't like the pose, I need to change it. So what can you do, right? But at least I try to aim for that at the very least. Midro Nurodo, do you think you can get into a studio only having Procreate? Yes, of course. I mean, most probably on the studio. I mean, just because it seems to have become like the industry standard. But I wouldn't see why maybe not knowing Photoshop on the very beginning, if you know to use Procreate, would be a problem, because Procreate can do the same as Photoshop in many levels. So uh, it wouldn't take that long time to learn Photoshop to use at work, and on the meanwhile you can be using Procreate. But I mean, it's just a tool, so and especially, I mean, it's not the same as if you had no idea about using any digital painting program, right? That would be a different story. But if you can already work with Procreate, I personally don't see that as a big issue. I think maybe that's an issue for in some studios. I don't know, but I personally, if it was me, the person hiring, that wouldn't be a problem. I mean, there are plenty of professionals that are mainly or exclusively working with Procreate, but those cases that I know, they are freelancers. So normally on a studio, they want you to use the same tools. Normally on studios, they use PCs and not Apple stuff, which I believe that's the only kind of hardware that you can use with Procreate, right? It needs to be an Apple tablet, so that can be a little bit problematic with sharing files and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass. So I, of course I cannot speak for any studio. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But that's my wild guess at it. Lucas Örström. Hi, that's a really cool looking orc. Tack så jättemycket. I'm guessing that you are Swedish with that name. Maybe you are not, but you have a very, very Swedish name. So correct me if I'm wrong. Men om du är, tack så jättemycket. Du är jättesnäll. Kirill Nedorosol. Hi Miguel. Hi chat people. Hello Kirill. Welcome. How are you doing? Nice. Not that you caught me. Finally. Nice. I don't know why I'm spending so much time rendering this helmet when everything is so rough, and we are supposed to be just roughing things up just to have all the elements that's one of the dangers, right? Just to focus on things that are not important at the moment. I mean, this is just like, okay, white box kind of thing. It's just like, okay, it's still there. We'll see what we do with it later on. I have absolutely no idea what this could be, but I just was thinking that since we have this limitation on what we can show with the Crusader. Doing great, man. Been working on paintings, some of which have been okay, while others have been quite miserable. Nature of the beast, I guess. Yes. Yes, that's how it is, right? And depending on how critical you are with your work, the balance shifts to one side to the other. In my case, if I speak for myself, I'm very critical of my work, and I normally tend to dislike most of everything that I do. Or at least not dislike, but I see all the issues, and then so I just see the things that are not working, and perhaps not the good parts. Or, well, of course I can see the good parts, but I focus so much on the things that doesn't work, and I tend to focus most of my attention into that. So the result is that I'm mostly dissatisfied with most of the things that I do. In very, very rare occasions, I'm like, oh, this overall, I like this, everything. Very rarely. And normally it tend to happen after I'm finished. While I'm working on it, I might like it, like, oh, this is looking great or whatever. But after I'm done, it's just like, shit, this is not what I thought. Schmovit, adulting. I don't know what you mean. Sorry, I'm so late on catching up on the chat, but yeah. Hola, Dr. Miguel. Hey, Seb. How are you doing? Sorry, before yesterday when I finished the stream, I saw that you had a question, but I already closed the chat, so I couldn't. I read it afterwards. You were talking about my course, or asking for my course. So yes, I keep teaching it. As a matter of fact, as I was mentioning at the beginning of the stream today, the fall term finished today. So today was the last day of this term, and next term will start in January. So the winter term. David Luca, it was you who suggested the backpack. My bad. Well, there you go. Ben, brilliant. I like it too. Yes, it is a very good idea. So let's see if I remember which. Yeah, there you go. Round of applause. Rounds of applause for David De Luca. Nasreddin Fenhi. Bonsoir tout le monde. Bonsoir, comment ça va? Bienvenue. J'espère que tout va bien avec toi. Mais je vais parler en anglais parce que ici, je crois pas que tout le monde comprend, qu'ils vont comprendre le français. Alors, si ça te dérange pas, je vais parler ou te reprendre en anglais. Seb Posada. Hola Miguel, pregunta. Tengo presupuesto para tu... There you go. You were asking about it after. Tengo presupuesto para tomar tu curso 4 veces el próximo año. Iba a tomar otra mentoría de Smart, pero siendo que tu curso está en CGMA, me gustaría usar ese dinero mejor para tomar tu curso varias veces. ¿Es posible tomarlo así? Y digamos que si queda una ilustración empezada de un periodo, seguir la siguiente con tu retroalimentación. All right. Zeb, I will, if you don't mind, like always, I will answer you in English because I believe you understand perfectly English. So like this, everybody can understand what I say. So you, the thing with my course is that once you take the course, you still have access to the content for an entire year after the course. So I'm not sure if you need to take the course 4 times. I honestly think that would be unnecessary. So that means better for you, right? Because you don't need to spend all that money. So you can keep it for another course or something. So yeah, I mean, unless you want to go through the feedback sessions and all those things, so then of course that means that you would need to apply several times to the course. But the content itself, you are like I said, is accessible for you for an entire year after you take the course, if I'm not mistaken, but I believe it's that way. So to your question, yes, of course you can do that, but I don't think if you should do that. I mean, take it once, yeah, but I don't think you need to. I had a student that took it 2 times. I don't know why he did it. I guess he enjoyed it quite a lot, but I don't know. I mean, of course, it depends on you, but I would advise you to consider not to do it. Just go for one, and of course, after you can decide. But yeah. I mean, once again, considering the fact that you can access the content for an entire year after. I hope that this answered your question. If not, let me know. Yeah. Sergio Ponce. Hello, Miguel. Hello, Sergio. Welcome. How are you doing? Glad that you could make it. I'm very happy that I'm seeing so many of you today. I was afraid that by changing the stream on Tuesdays, many of you were not going. Blah blah blah. Many of you were not going to make it. But yeah, you are all here, so that is awesome. Arturo Serrano do Nascimento. Hola Miguel, por fin te pillo currando en directo. Bienvenido y me alegro de que me hayas pillado con las manos en la masa. Bienvenido. Si no te importa, como digo a mucha gente, voy a seguir en inglés porque hay mucha gente que no entiende español. Entonces el El idioma sí que la gran mayoría que todo el mundo entiende es el inglés, es como el idioma en común entre toda la gente en el chat. Entonces, pues eso, si no te importa, seguiré en inglés. Si no te ves muy ducho con el inglés, siempre, pero aún así lo entiendes, siempre puedes preguntar en español y te responderé en inglés. Pero una vez más, bienvenido y me alegro mucho de que estés aquí. Vanity's Fall. I can teach you the tool in 3 weeks, but I cannot teach you how to become an artist in that time. Hi Miguel, hi all, hi Burly Green Man. Hey Vanity's Fall. Midro, I'm gonna just keep you calling you just Midro, right? Because you have a very complicated name. What brushes do you use, and what advice would you give to a person starting out with brushes? All right, this is one of my favorite questions, as many of you know. Well, what brushes do I use? Well, these are the brushes that I have. And even though sometimes I use some of these for very specific reasons, I normally 97% of the time I use this one or this one, which is practically the same, and that's it. I don't use much. And those are brushes that I did myself. So the thing with the brushes, don't care. It's not important. It's not at all. It's a completely unimportant thing. Brushes are just tools, and they are not a game changer in any way. So it's a very common question with beginners and students, feeling that having the right brush or using brushes in a certain way, or like a magical brush that can help you to paint in a certain way, it is not the right focus, because once again, brushes are not that important. You can do fantastic work with one single basic Photoshop brush, and you don't need anything else. As a matter of fact, I tend to like, and I only use this basic Photoshop brush to sketch vehicles. So yeah, you don't need anything fancy. But of course, it's nice to have custom brushes at some point because they give you certain type of texture or something like that. But you should start to care about that once you have reached certain minimum level, because that's just like a little bit like the how do you say in English, like sugar coating. So it's not that important. It's something that is nice to have, but it's not fundamental, and yeah, so you can completely make it without it. And then the following part to that is like, so which one or how to, well, just make it yourself. And the reason for that is because the logic behind it is because yes, there are plenty of fancy brushes that people use, and even people sell them. But in my personal opinion, of course, people might disagree, but in my personal opinion, I think it's a waste of money. So if you can take some for free, then that's great. But why I think it's a waste of money in general, I mean, I'm not talking in absolutes, so it can be very worth it in some cases, or for you, I don't know. But in my experience, what tend to happen is like, oh yeah, this is very cool. You try it several times and then you never use them again. Why? Because those brushes were designed by an artist, and that artist designed those. 1 second. Just getting an update on my son, so we'll see what happens. but yeah, he's having a rough evening. So yeah, we'll see. Um, hopefully, I can have a normal stream, but yeah, let's see. But yeah, as I was saying, so the reason why that artist designed those brushes in that way is because he was following his own preferences and needs, and those doesn't need to necessarily be your needs and tastes. So the very common result is that, yeah, they are fancy and look nice, but they don't feel right exactly the way you want them. And so the best thing to do is to create your own, because that way you can create, literally, I'm not kidding, the absolute best brush in the world for you, that nobody else will be able to design as best as you, because nobody knows what you need but you. So that's my recommendation. If you want to have your perfect brush, just play around and learn how to make your own brushes, which, by the way, it is extremely easy to do. I know you mentioned Procreate. Sadly, I don't use Procreate, so I don't know how to do it. But I still have a tutorial for Photoshop on my YouTube channel, even though it's supposed to be a series. But I only had time to do the first episode, which covered the very basics. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. That's my answer. The Crusader, damn, dropping fluent Swedish just like that. Haha, impressive. Well, it's not that impressive. You take in consideration how long I've been living in Sweden, and it's actually, my Swedish is actually pretty bad for what is supposed, for what it should be. So nothing impressive here. Sergio Ponce, your artwork in the same video with that Amnet, you break it. Oh yes, that, well, I don't know, but yes, that I can assure you that that's an absolute privilege to be able to work on the same project with him, since I absolutely admire his work for 40K. So yes, yeah, and that video was pretty cool, just to have him talking, and on the background is my concepts. That was yeah, that is quite a joy, I have to say. Keith Tate, hello Miguel. Hey Keith, hey, Very glad that you could make it. So here, Keith, it's one of my students from this term that finished today. So yes, as I was saying, quite a shame that each time each term finish, because it's always such a pleasure meeting you, the students, and yeah. But yeah, fantastic to see you here, Keith. So if any of you have questions or like want to have an opinion from somebody that has taken the course, you can ask Eva. That I don't know if she's still on the chat, or Keith. You don't need to answer or here on the chat, so you don't feel any pressure because I'm here. You can just message them in private, and then they can give you an honest answer. But yeah, Keith, welcome. Anyway, Lucius, the dreaded brush question, yes, and dreaded and loved question. I have to say, I actually like to get this question because it's another opportunity to redirect people on the right direction and on things that are important, that are actually important. And welcome, Lucius, by the way. I haven't said anything, but like always, absolute pleasure to have you here. Lucas Öström. Yes, you are right. I'm Swedish. Hey, is there a story behind the skulls he's carrying around his neck? All right, nice. Well, yes, like I was saying, you have an extremely Swedish name. Well, there is no specific story because I mean, I just started creating this character on the go, so to speak. So I only had main idea, and is that okay? He is some sort of traveler, adventurer. So kind of going. I mean, the idea was like, okay, I'm trying to do some sort of explorer or scout, or like for a tabletop role game, for like a dungeon seeker or something of that kind, but an orc instead of a human or an elf or something, instead of the classic stereotypical look of a warrior, like geared and standing in for a battle. So that's the only specific idea I had. So with that being said, I thought that okay, so he's still an orc, right? So he's still gonna be, even though as he can be as civilized as an orc can be, and one could argue that he's already pretty civilized for what an orc could be. He's still been an orc, so he's gonna be very brutal and orcish in that way. So I'm thinking that okay, so displaying trophies of his more hated enemies or something of that kind would be a nice touch, and to display also like a way to display himself as a skilled warrior, and just to impose more fear on his enemies or something of that kind. So that's kind of the idea behind it, but there is no deep idea more than that behind it. David De Luca, check out his tutorial on how to make your own brush. It is a mine of gold, really. Right. Well, thanks. That is very kind to say, man. But yeah, yes, he says what I mentioned. Yeah, I have that, and it just covered the very basics. So it's not very advanced, but yeah, it covers the basics. When I have the time and the will, the next one should be adding textures, how to add textures to the brushes. Nitro, do you ever start out grayscale, then add color, or just go straight to color? And what do you think about grayscale to color? Man, tonight, many nights I don't get any questions, but tonight I swear you're gonna kill me. I'm gonna end up exhausted. It depends. Sometimes I use grayscale. Sometimes I don't. I prefer to go straight with colors if it's up to me. But of course, sometimes it's a better choice to go with grayscale because of plenty of reasons. But there could be many. So yeah, it depends. It's just one process, and both options give some advantages, and yeah. So, but my preference is always if I can and it fits what I'm aiming for, just to go straight with colors. But I have to say, I still enjoyed quite a lot working in grayscale only as well. So and what I think about grayscale, well, I don't think anything specific. It's just another option, another process and option to use, and it fulfills a purpose, and it helps with certain things. If you struggle working with colors, it from a technical point of view, it can help to focus first on and only on the values, and not have to worry about colors. So that can be a benefit. At the same time, there can be an aesthetical reason for it, of how it affects the final result. But on the other hand, I tend to think that grayscale, or starting pieces that start with grayscale, tend to end up a little bit less vibrant when it comes to colors. Of course, I'm generalizing, and it doesn't need to be the case all the time, but it's a little bit more difficult. But once again, sometimes that's what you are actually aiming for, and you don't want vibrant colors. So going with grayscale is good. But again, there is none it's better than the other. It just it fulfills different purposes, and or preferences as well. I mean, sometimes it's it just fall into that you enjoy doing things in a certain way more than another one, and there's nothing wrong with that. So there you go. Keith, thank you for all the wisdom, Miguel. Awesome course, very challenging. Well, you are very kind, and my pleasure once again. I really enjoy lecturing in this course. I don't know if you say it that way in English, but yeah. And And yeah, it's a challenging course. In my experience, most of students find it challenging because I show a way of thinking that it's very much neglected uh, uh, overall in in other courses, and it's actually, yeah, it is challenging. It is not an easy thing to do if you are not used to, but extremely vital in my personal and professional opinion, that you have to master or aim at mastering it. So how to use visual narratives in your art, how to apply narrative in your art. So that's what it is about. And Keith here have done a fantastic job despite the challenges, but yeah, he has done an absolutely amazing job in that regard. So very good, Keith. David, look at that was what I was waiting for, the applause. Yes, of course. Sometimes I completely screw and just press the wrong button. But yeah, this time I managed to press the right one. But I mean, well deserved, man. Yeah, that was a great idea on your part. So I should actually lower my voice now a little bit, so I reduce the chances of waking up my son. Posada, no problem, Miguel. All right, nice. Sergio, what is make a study for you? For example, value study or color study. I'm not sure I understand your question. What do I understand? What is it for me to make a study of well, I if that is the question, I guess it depends on the context, but I would say it's just taking something that already exists. Could be from live, right? Like something that you have in front of you. Or it could be a photo, or it could be a piece of art that somebody else, another painting or drawing, or that another artist has done. But something that you have in front of you, and then you try to replicate that on your own, focusing on understanding if it's about the colors, trying to understand what is happening with the colors and why things are that way. Or if it's somebody's a painting from another artist, is to understand, all right, what was the thinking process of the artist, what was the process, how he managed to achieve this or that, or I mean, it depends on what you are looking for, right? But just focusing on that specific subject that you are making the study for and trying to understand it. So a study should never be about just copying for the sake of copying, but about understanding what you are copying. And copying is an excellent way to learn, but once again, just thinking about it, just with purpose, being mindful of what you are doing. So that's what that's why I understand by a study, if that was the question. But once again, I don't know if I understood the question correctly. Sergio, what is the black bar in the backpack? What a good question. I have absolutely no idea. I'm just trying to add elements on the backpack that kind of sits well, visually speaking, on the silhouette, but that and offer possibilities to add meaningful things to the character. At the moment, I don't know exactly what it is, because as I was saying, I mean, the things would make more sense if they are hanging from the side, but we cannot see that because it's covered by his body, right? So I only have this area here to work with, which is very limiting. So to add the sense that there are things hanging, that is very clutter with things hanging on the sides, I only can, like I say, I can only use this area. So I thought that having a bar here adds one possibility that feels nice visually speaking, right? It's just add some contrast to the lines, but then I can construct on top of it later on when I continue with this part. Now, as I said many times, I tend to jump from one place to another on the character, so I don't get absorbed and obsessed by one single area and lose context of the whole image, or in this case, character. So I like to jump from here and there, and also to refresh my mind. So like I said, I have no idea what I want to do with it at this point, so I just leave it to rest, and then we'll decide later. It could be, I don't know, it could be a weapon, it could be an axe, or it could be just a stick that he put on the top, and then he attached things to hang on the sides as well. Could be a tool, I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, it will be decided. And well, like I always say, if you have some suggestions already, just be my guest. I mean, once again, this was a great suggestion by David, adding the backpack. So yeah, don't be shy to suggest things. Vanity's Fall. I saw the brush tutorial. It was a nice one. Wish I had Photoshop. All right. Well, glad that you liked it. But if you don't have Photoshop, I don't. Not sure if that was that useful. By the way, today I finished something for Games Workshop. Pretty nice thing. Of course, I cannot say what it is or hint anything. Just that I've finished it and it's looking pretty nice. And on the subject of the thing that I've been speaking about before, like in give me some few days and I see it again, I will think like, damn it, this is not, this and this is not working and this is just horrible and etc. But today I'm pleased with the results. And I'm curious, I don't know if you still hear Lucas, but where in Sweden are you from? Lucius, I have an incredible boring question, Miguel. Well, I'm already getting bored. I haven't read it yet. Do you just use a standard contract for all your clients? That's not boring. Do you just use a standard contract for all your clients that don't offer you one? Or do you change up the terms depending on the client? Well, thankfully, so far I only had to offer one contract to one client. The rest, all of them were offering giving the contracts. Thanks God, because it's such a pain in the ass thing to do. So yeah, but in case I would have to make many, then you can have one with a basic template that covers the most common aspects, but then you will have to still you will still have to make modifications to that contract so it accommodates the nature of the work that you are going to do for this new client and that client as well. So they might share some basic elements, but then others are going to be custom made for that client or for that specific work. Because I mean, each work can be very different one from another, and might require many different things and might offer different dangers, so to speak. I mean, and if you think about it, contracts are just that, like a way to cover your back in case, for against problems. So yes. So in case you have to do the contracts, then you will have to accommodate each contract to each client and work accordingly. And it might happen that maybe different, I mean, two works and two clients, the type of work it's very similar, so you don't need to do any major change, just the names, and that's about it. But yeah. But once again, luckily for me, I only had to do that once, and even, sorry, 1 second. All right, now I'm on the lookout for my son. So now it's when I might need to go and take on him if necessary. As I was saying, he's very I don't know what's the word in English, but he's a little bit not very he's not sleeping very well, or getting awake very often, so I might need to go and take on him, most probably. We'll see, hopefully not, but yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, about contracts. So yeah, so in my experience, most of the contracts have been given by the or provided by the clients, which is very nice, but still is a pain in the ass because you still have to read it thoroughly. You cannot just skip like, oh yeah, I know what this means, and it's like, because that's the problem. Sometimes, these, I don't know if it's been said or this way in English, but I mean, at least in Spanish, we have this saying that in any contract you need to read the small text, because that's where the contentious part can be hidden. So yeah, you need to read thoroughly every single contract, and that is not fun, I can say. And if you find something that you don't agree, then you have to contact the client and say that, yeah, look, all is good, but this part, this is not good, I need this to be changed. And then it's like an open discussion, and to not be afraid to say or to demand changes on the contract. I mean, yeah, you cannot be shy with that. Because in my experience, it happens many times that certain companies, the contracts are done or written by lawyers that are not necessarily from that company, and then since then they do a contract that it's very much abusive in terms of giving everything to that company that contract them to make that contract, to write that contract. And sometimes, yeah, so it can be extremely abusive, and the point of signing a contract is just to cover your back and just to make sure that that contractual relation with your client is fair for him or for it, but also for you. And as I'm saying many times, those contracts are very abusive in favor of the client, especially if it's them who are offering you the contract. So you need to be not shy about it and ask or demand to demand to change certain things if you feel that those are very abusive or that put you in a very delicate situation if things go sour. So yeah, maybe not a fancy part of the business, or like you were saying, Lucius, boring, but it's actually vital to know about and to do. So yes. David De Luca, perhaps a flail with a chain attached like the one the Witch King used in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it could be. The problem I have with that is like if it's hanging around there, it's just in that way that could be very hazardous, right? So, but yeah, it could be. I'm just the more I'm thinking about it, I'm more thinking in terms of having this as some kind of pole that he used to hang other things, like a support type of thing element, more than a specific thing. But yeah, we'll see. Thanks for the suggestion once again. And as I was saying last stream on Saturday, seriously, what a pleasure to use the tablet, and it actually works. For those of you that don't know, I have been having lots of issues with my last tablet for I don't know, like a month and a half or something like that, while I was trying to work, and these type of things that still is not broken enough that I cannot work, but still extremely annoying. And of course I have a lot of work, so I spent some time trying to investigate if I had a fix, but I still had the pressure that I had a lot of work. I had to just work with what I had. But I couldn't find a solution, and well, the thing is that that tablet was more than 10 years old. So yeah. But now since I couldn't fix it or find any solution, then I had to buy a new one, which I'm using now, and it's fantastic. It's like this type of things, as when you are sick or ill with something or injured, that you have no idea, or you don't think about how good you have things until something, you have pain somewhere, right? That's kind of the same thing. You have no idea how good you have it when things work until things stop to work. Which, by the way, also it reminds me another issue that I had recently. I own a MSI laptop computer, and it works perfectly, but the screen display, so if I was supposed to be recording this and I completely forgot. Okay. So the computer is this way, right? And then you open. And you open this way, right? So this part here broke. And yeah, extremely annoying, because otherwise the computer works perfectly. There's no issue. So I started to investigate, and I found what was the problem, or the cause of the problem, and it didn't surprise me, because the thing is that the hinges here were so extremely tight. So this is, again, this, in case you have a MSI laptop, you need to know about this. So in my computer, and it seems that in all of MSI laptop computers, they suffer the same problem. The hinges were extremely tight. So what it meant is that if I was opening the screen, it's so tight that it will pull the whole computer up. So you would have to use both hands to separate them and use a lot of strength, or strength enough that is not common, in order to open it. What that meant is that on top of that, this area here, the hinges, if this is the keyboard part here, and this is the corner with the hinge, and here is the display, the hinges are just only attached until here. There is no further support that goes up, so it distributes the tension caused by the force that you are applying to the display to open. So what it means is, like, since you have to make so much strength to open it, because it's so, the hinges are so tight, and then it's screwed in such a tiny part, then the tension is too great and it breaks. So I had to remove all the cover, glue back the part that was broken, and loose up the hinges in both sides. And that's the key. If you don't do this, and you have one of these laptop computers from MSI, eventually it will break. No questions about it. So if you have it before it breaks, just go on YouTube. There's lots of tutorials of how to do this. It's pretty easy. If I did it myself, and I'm an absolute disaster for this type of things. If I could do it, you can do it. So it loosen up the hinges, and it's a matter of calculating how much, and so you put it in such a way that you don't need so much effort to open, and then you avoid the hinges to all these parts to break. So yeah, fun times for me lately with a lot of hardware issues. Lucas, what's your favorite thing about orcs, and who is your favorite orc? What a great question. um, well, are we talking about orcs in general, or orcs in Warhammer, in Warhammer 40k or fantasy, or yeah, in general, like Lord of the Rings, or I don't know. If and yeah, and where are you from, Lucas? I'm very curious. If you don't mind to share that, of course. But if we're talking about Warhammer, well, I like how they look, first of all. And I enjoyed a lot their, even though they are slightly different from fantasy and 40k in terms of the mindset of who they are and how they are presented, but still they share a lot of things in common, right? So I enjoyed quite a lot their way of being, like just so brutish and focused on making battle no matter what, in a very innocent way, even though they are cruel and violent and everything, but it's a little bit like like 4-year-old kids uh, that behave like monsters, like with a, yeah, something like that. I That's the thing that I enjoy the most about them. And if I would have to choose one orc specifically, I have no idea, man. uh, I don't know. I'm not so well versed into specific orc characters, if I'm honest. Of course, I know like the very famous ones, but I'm not excessively fan of them. But yeah, I enjoy their childish type of level of innocence in some way. That they are, even though, I mean, you could argue that they are evil in the sense that they do evil things to people, but it's not. They are not evil. That, you know what I mean. They do not have an evil soul, so to speak. They just do it because that's the thing they do. Like if you say, I don't know, like lions are evil because they eat. Yeah, I need to go and check. One second. I will be back. One second. false alarm. He was dreaming and he's sleeping like a baby. Sergio, have you had problems with tendonitis from drawing a lot, and how do you deal with that? No, I have not. Even though when I started freelancing, I started to had a little pain. Well, some pain here, but I train and. So training helped me quite a lot when I got that, and since then I haven't got that anymore. But the key is to have to sitting correctly, having the right position on arms and relation to your back and the level of the table, and also something that it's very relevant to this is to put the sensibility of your pen tablet to the highest, so you barely have to press, because what really fogs your hand is having to press hard. So yeah, that's the most important thing. But yeah, with that, having a good position, having your arms in front of you, and training your forearm and wrists, then it should be okay. Lucy, sorry, let me correct that. It is spelled Miguel. No problem. And thanks for the answer. I understand better now. No problem, man. My pleasure. Schmovit, do you offer paid consultation portfolio building guidance? No, I don't. I'm sorry to say. It is something very much demanded. And it's actually something that I could give a lot of guidance, because while I was working on studio, I was for a long time taking care of portfolios from people. Just taking on the assisting on the recruiting side and just taking care of portfolios and stuff like that. So I have some experience into that, and I think I have a good insight into these type of things, but I don't have the time. When I start with my projects, and which I will hopefully start next year, and for that I would start a Patreon in order to find some financial support to do it, because otherwise I cannot do it. Then I'm considering to offer that to like one of the higher tiers, but I'm still not sure, because it takes quite a lot of time, and as I was talking last stream, it is not an easy thing to do a Patreon. If you are making a Patreon that in general is just about more giving lessons and tutorials and stuff like that, it makes more sense. But my Patreon is going to be more directed to give me some financial support to be able to dedicate my time to work on it, and that means no client work. and I still need to pay the bills, right? So, so yeah. But to your question, I'm digressing. No, I don't, and perhaps I offer that with my Patreon, but that will be like the one of the higher tiers, and still, I'm not sure if I would do that. So yeah, that's the only thing that I could say by the moment for the moment. Lucas Erström, in general. In general. Well, if it's in general, then I mean, if I have some favorites, then it's of course Lord of the Rings orcs, which are the original ones. Even though so the originals from Lord of the Rings books. And from there, I think the ones that I enjoy, that I can remember, is a couple that Frodo and Sam encounter when they are in Mordor. But I can't remember their names. But I really enjoyed how they are depicted, and I was considering to do an illustration of them at some point, because it will be fantastic. Lucas, I'm from Stockholm. Aha, all right. Nice, Stockholm, such a nice city. I myself, I live in Malmö. For those of you that don't know about Sweden or anything, just like the city and the region where I live, it's very famous, or in Sweden, aside from other things, by the accent of how people speak here, that have a very, very, very strong accent. Sergio, Miguel, you skipped my last question. Did I? Can you remind me? Lucius, what's your favorite thing about Tao, and who is your favorite Tao? Nothing, no one. I appreciate the fact that Tao are there, but I don't find them appealing or interesting at all. I dislike them. I appreciate them as a extra race on the universe, and they are very distinct and everything, but I dislike them so much. So yeah, how is it the imperial saying? I have it on my hoodie here. 1 second. It says only burn the heretic, kill the mutant. But what about the Xenos? Well, Yes, I'm very racist. Uh, I I hate the Tao so much. I dislike them a lot, and I feel that all these for the greater good thingy is just bullshit, and it's just an excuse for another imperialistic race. You know, there is yeah. I mean, they don't take. I don't believe that they take other races in equal terms. They become subordinate to them. And of course, you could argue, well, that is way better than humans, right? That they just directly exterminate. But yeah, anyway, I dislike them. Lucas, thou art awesome. All right. Well, I mean, yeah, sure. If you like them, then good for you. I like I say, I don't like them at all. Lucius, yeah. Um, Schmovitz, thanks for the answer. That's a good option on Patreon for sure. Yes, the only problem or the issue of having that type of thing with Patreon is that you need to have very clear what you are aiming for having a Patreon, right? And so you don't end up spending time fulfilling the what's called what is it called the benefits for each tier uh, instead of spending time doing the things that you are supposed to be supported to do in the first place. You see what I mean? And especially something that can be scaled. So, because if you have only one Patreon, then of course you could argue that, yeah, of course you can spend some time giving some feedback or some portfolio thingy. But what if it's 50? Then it becomes a lot to do, and of course, not in my wildest dreams. I would think that I would get enough Patreons to cover all my client work, right? So that means that I still would have to do client work, and then on top of that client work, I would have to spend a lot of time doing those portfolio reviews, and then I end up not having enough time to work on the project that I'm supposed to be working and that I'm being supported on Patreon on the first place. So it is tricky. So yeah, it is not as clear cut. Uh, yeah, if I can, I I I'm like I'm saying, I'm definitely considering. I don't know if I will end up doing it, but yeah, it's one of the options that I'm considering. David, the look at the orcs from Lord of the Rings are Gorbag and Shagrat. Ah, are they? All right. I can't remember. I remember that one had a spear and another one had a bow and arrows, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and I like them. Those a lot. I mean, I still remember them. Even though vaguely, because I think the last time I read The Lord of the Rings was quite some time ago. I think well, it was before I moved to Sweden, so that's a very long time ago. Uh, I have read it twice, but yeah, the second time was many years ago. Oh, I need to go and check on Dante 1 second. All right. Yeah, Lord Commander Dante was having some bad dreams about Tau and how to kill them all. Juan Toledano, my favorite thing about Tau are the Croods. Yeah, I agree. Yes. the the other alien races that are allied with the Tau are, in my opinion, cooler and more interesting than the Tau themselves. But again, I mean, I appreciate the Tau for what they are. Lore-wise, it's just that I dislike them. So it is definitely an awesome thing that they are there. One thing that annoys me, perhaps, one of the reasons I'm trying to rationalize why I dislike them so much is that yeah, I can. Sorry, sorry guys. I need to go back 1 second. All right. Yeah, the reason why I dislike the Tau is because of, and of course I understand the reasons why they do it this way, but I always find it so irritating and annoying. Is that if you think about it, the Tau Empire would have not lasted as a week against the empire, the human empire. But of course, they need a race, right? So in order to create circumstances that explain why they managed to not only survive the encounter against the empire, but thrive. It's just always like so perfect, all the time they are saved by the nick of the, it's like all the time you could say it's so lucky and so convenient all the time they are saved by the narrative. When in terms of the grim dark of this universe, they should have been exterminated a long time ago, and they wouldn't have lasted or had any chance. Because if you think about it as well, as far as I understand, the lore hasn't expanded or changed in this regard, right? But if I'm not mistaken, the Tau don't have technology to travel faster than light, and that's a huge disadvantage, technologically speaking, against the Empire, that they can use the warp to travel. So how can they expand so fast? I don't know. So that's what makes me so annoyed about them, is that there's always something very convenient that happens that saves them, or they give them that advantage against the Empire, etc., etc. And it's like you see that it's always so purposefully planted by the writers and designers to be that way, which of course it makes sense, right, since it's a construction, but it's a fiction, but yeah, it's done in a very annoying way. So yeah, there you go. And by the way, I think I'm gonna have to be finishing the stream because it's already quite late for me, and tomorrow I have plenty of work to do. Sergio, you already have responded me. All right, perfect. Sergio, sorry. Miguel, what is your favorite faction of 40k? Streamer Fund, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream, even though I'm just about to finish the stream. But either way, thanks out for the follow and welcome. Sergio, my absolute favorite faction in general terms is the Empire, because I love everything related with the Empire. So yes, humans are my, because it's the easiest to relate as well. But if you want to be more specific, even though I love normal humans, but since I was a kid, I have a soft spot for Space Marines. I cannot avoid it. I like Space Marines so much. I'm obsessed with them. But anything that is human in 40k, I find it fascinating, and I really, 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 really enjoyed it for all the fucked up things and and crazy things, but also because it gives some scale to things. So that's also one of the reasons why when I was pitched Warhammer 40k Dark Tide game to join the team, I was in love with the idea instantly, right? Because it's like I'm saying, even though I'm obsessed with space marines, I also aware that we are saturated with them, and it makes things look not as horrible and as terrifying as they should be. And the best way to show that is through normal people, or normal humans, just to have a human scale to things. And so yeah, it put things in perspective. So yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, even though the I don't know, like Imperial Guard, right? That normally it's the joke is that they are just like poor soldiers and barely any equipment or training. That is actually false, right? I mean, of course, being as a diverse universe, you could argue that, yeah, certainly they might have some examples of that, but for the most part, you should think of the Imperial Guard as the equivalent to the absolute best trained and equipped humans that we can have nowadays, and with an equipment that is way superior to what we have nowadays. Even though it might look primitive in some ways, but in practical terms, a 40k last gun would be absolutely OP weapon in our reality nowadays. It would be absolutely, well, insane powerful, right? So yeah, and then when you put a poor little Imperial Guard into the 40k universe, and then you see what happens, then yeah, it's easier to have a better perspective of how horrible things are, and what things humans need to fight. So yeah, there you go. Juan Toledano, metidos con calzador en el trasfondo. Yes, exactly. I don't know how to translate that into English, but yes. But I mean, if you think about it, of course, anything it's done in certain way that way, because, well, at the end of the day, everything is a fiction, right? So they write whatever they want. But the success of the Tau feels a little bit too forced to make sense within the context of the 40k galaxy. But yeah, that's my opinion. Reg Kaden, no, that's a vicious looking orc. Thank you. That's very kind to say. What was the name of that one novel where an orc holds a human over fire for shits and giggles? I actually have no idea. It is a 40k novel. I don't know. Harris Bartlett, you do art really well. Thanks, man. Much appreciated. Recating, yeah, but I don't think that is relevant to 40k. Alaskan can't dent Space Marine armor. That's why the flashlight memes exist. Well, you see, I disagree. That kind of vision of things, it's how do you say, is forged through the scope of the tabletop game, which makes sense because you have to simplify things, and yeah, you need to create a system for a game that works, and yeah, But from a lore point of view, a last gun is a very powerful weapon, and it can uh, uh, more than dent a Space Marine armor. Is gonna be a difficult thing. It is not gonna be for a given, but Space Marine armor has many weak points, right? So it's not a impossible thing or never heard of killing a Space Marine with a very well placed last shot. So no, last guns are actually very powerful weapons, even on the 40k universe. You just need to think that the problem is like if you are trying to shoot a monster that is like dozens of meters high and it's robust as a tank, then of course it doesn't matter that you are shooting with a very with a last gun with something that is very strong. Still is not strong enough to kill that, but still the last gun is very strong. So yes. At least that's my 2 cents. Nikolai Patrikev, hi Miguel. Oh my goodness, so many new people around. It's such a shame when I'm deciding that I'm gonna close the for today. We're getting into such a juicy topic. I love talking about these nerdy things in 40k. So yeah, once again, the flashlight memes and all of that is because you see the universe through the scope of a tabletop game system, which is simplified to the extreme. But if we would have to take that into a more believable and plausible scope of how things are in the lore, then yeah, it is not such a useless flashlight. But still funny memes anyway. Reckoning, yeah, it is a 40k novel. It paints the orcs in a very brutal and inhumane way. I don't know which one it is. I'm afraid. I can't recall many novels that I have read where orcs are shown, but nothing of that sort. Grayson Jiggler, the last gun is super effective Warhammer. Super effective Warhammer is just such an OP universe. In the books is brutal. Yeah, for example, yeah, that's a good thing. If you read, for example, going back to my absolute idol of writers, authors. It's book authors, Dan Abnett. If you read any of the Gaunt Ghost novels, he has a very nice way of depicting and how powerful the last guns are and the capabilities and flexibility that it provide as a weapon, right? I mean, just think how insane it is that you can charge a last gun clip just by putting on the fire. I mean, the level of technology to do that is quite insane compared to what we have now, right? And it is supposed to be extremely easy to repair, to maintain. Those type of things is, of course, that's something. Those nuances is something that you are never gonna see on the tabletop game, because yeah, it's too going too deep into the universe, but those things in reality play and have a very big role in. So yeah, and also you can think about that. You can regulate the the strength of the of the of the laser, so you can make very concentrated discharges. So the stopping power is higher. Of course, you would have less shots, but yeah. So I mean, yeah. Rickheading, I guess that depends on the novel. I have read Night Lords, and one Night Lord can cleave through a whole squad in a tight corridor. While reading first and only, one sniper was able to take out a Space Marine kills with one shot. Yeah, but I mean, yes, exactly. But what you need to take in consideration is like one thing doesn't discard the other. It's like anything, you know. Once again, I mean, the problem with this type of things that is to see things always through the scope of the tabletop game and a paper chart. Is like, oh, Space Marine and stats. Space Marine on paper can do this and that, and then of course it can kill so many guards or whatever. It's like, well, like everything, it depends on the context of where you are putting all these elements. So a Space Marine in close quarters and tied spaces like that, it's gonna have a humongous advantage against a whole squad of humans with las guns or whatever. But if you put that same Space Marine, as mighty as Space Marine is, in the middle of a open field against a tank, he's gonna die, right? Because, well, you put him in a very disadvantaged point. One of the so Space Marines are not gonna, if they can avoid it, of course, they will not put themselves in a tactical situation where they are in a great disadvantage. They're always gonna play to their advantage. So both situations, I don't think they are exclusive to one another, right? So in the gun stories, yeah, a sniper can't definitely shoot dead with one single shot to a Space Marine because managed to find these weak spots in the armor and kill him. But if you put that same sniper in a tight corridor with plenty of other guards against the same Space Marine, and he will probably die. I mean, the sniper with all the humans, because that you are putting him on a tactical situation which plays greatly in favor of the Space Marine. So everything is relative to the tactical situation. So Space Marines are very rare in the galaxy. They are the main actors in the game, but not in the background. Yeah, I agree. Grayson Ziller, I need to saturate my paintings more. My God. Well, I don't know. It depends of what you are aiming for, right? Means lol. People keep coming. Yes, and we're getting into this topic that I absolutely love to talk about, and we could be talking ages. At least I could. I love to talk about these subjects. Carnivorous. Hey Miguel, I don't know if you remember me from Dakfra. Alex with the big afro. Yes, of course, man. How are you doing? Long time no see. How are you, man? So awesome to see you around. Shame I missed your stream, but good to see you on here. Hope you are doing well. Space Marines excel in close quarter combat. Yes, they do. But man, I hope that you are doing fine. How is your life? How are you doing? And yeah, Space Marines excel at many things, right? But again, that doesn't mean that they are invincible. that they are invulnerable to anything. So, I mean, even like auto guns, you know, like bullets, normal human bullet guns can kill a space marine. We could argue that it would be difficult in that case, but still, if you manage to put a normal bullet through the eye socket and through the skull of a space marine, it's still gonna die. It's gonna be extremely difficult to manage to do that, and you would have to be extremely lucky to do it, but it can technically it can be done. David Luca by Fox, I have to go. Thanks to you, Miguel, for your time. Always a pleasure. See you, man. Thanks a lot for being around, man. Always a pleasure, and see you next time. Bye bye. Grayson, Guns Ghost show the power of guard well. Yes, I totally agree. Yes. Carnivorous, yeah, I'm good, man. I finally got a job in the industry. I'm a concept artist in a game studio in the UK, but I'm moving to Australia early next year. I was so sad when that end was cancelled. Yeah, well, man, first of all, congratulations. Fantastic. Let's give a... Which one was it? Yes, there we go. Congrats, man. Super happy to hear, finally. And to Australia. Wow. That's a big move. And yeah, it was a shame about that end. For those of you that don't know, it's a conference that was supposed to happen in Antwerp. But yeah, man, yeah, totally, I agree. Hopefully, maybe next year they organize another one. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, very happy to hear about you, and very glad about those news. Fantastic to hear. Ulysses, I remember a guardsman killed a dead guard with a last pistol. Pretty sure he shot him in the eye lens. Yeah, there you go. I mean, if you think about it, it's they are not just immortal; they are still made of flesh and bones. Even though, like, special blood and bones, right? But still, they are not supernatural. And even those that have some supernatural enhancements, like Chaos Space Marines, they still are mortal. So yeah. All right, guys. Sorry, but I still I need to go. So, like always, an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. Next time we can take these conversations from the very beginning, because I absolutely love it. All these nerdy things, especially 40K related. Oh, I love it. And yeah, like always, thanks a lot for joining. Always a treat talking to all of you guys. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy. And next stream, next Tuesday, same time. So yeah, no more Saturdays stream. Next stream will be on Tuesday. All right. Have a good one, and bye bye. Take care.